Hey everyone, welcome to another story time. Thanks for joining me here again on my couch. As you can see, I have all these brown spots all over my face because yesterday I was cooking and I got splashed by hot grease. It was butter actually, and so I have some burns on my skin, but it feels better today. It felt really bad yesterday, but it should heal up fine, so just in case you were wondering. So let's get started. Last week we read When I Feel Angry, and this book went over a few ideas of how we can make our anger smaller. We learned that anger is a hot feeling that we feel inside our bodies, and sometimes it doesn't go away. Even when we do try to calm ourselves down, and that's okay, as long as we are not keeping those feelings inside, because if we keep that feeling inside, remember we described it like a dragon, right? So when a dragon breathes fire, the heat is coming out. So we don't want that fire to grow really, really big, and then we might do something or say something to someone else, or might hurt ourselves, and so we don't want that to happen, because then it doesn't feel so good, and then that anger can turn into sadness, or it can turn into just even bigger anger. So today, and then we also heard from Barry and Benny about what they like to do whenever they get mad at each other, and just how they repair those things. So remember, it's like a broken table. We want to make sure that we fix that table so that way we're able to sit at it again. So with Barry and Benny, they don't want to leave their relationship broken because they're brothers, and we don't always get along with our brothers and sisters, or our parents, and it's important that when we are arguing or fighting, because that's going to happen sometimes, and that's okay, it happens to everyone, we need to make sure that we come back and we find a way to let that person know that we still love them and that we still appreciate them, and that can look different for everyone. For Barry, he likes to give hugs, and Benny, he likes to make pictures for Barry. So it looks different for everyone, and you just find what works for you. So today we're going to read the book We Can Get Along, A Child's Book of Choices by Lauren Murphy Payne. So today we're just going to talk about how we get along with each other, what that looks like. I know lots of people at school, in my neighborhood, and on the playground. Sometimes we can get along, and sometimes we don't. I can think of a lot of times where, we get along at school, we get along with our best friends, and sometimes we have arguments. It happens to everyone. When we get along, we talk together. We laugh, work, and play together. Sometimes we are quiet together. When we get along, I feel happy and safe. I think everyone can feel that way whenever their families are getting along, you're getting along with your brother and sister, you're getting along with your parents and your friends. It feels good. It feels good when things go right. When we don't get along, we fight and argue. We yell, hit, or cry. Sometimes we say and do mean things. When we don't get along, I feel angry and afraid. So sometimes things don't go our way. Sometimes we can't control things. We can't control the outcomes of things. Remember, Benny last week shared with us that when Barry yells at him, when he knocks his blocks down, that makes him feel scared, and it makes him, feel worried that maybe Barry might hurt him. So we can feel angry and scared when we don't get along. I can remember my feelings when I am with other people. I can remember times when I felt happy or angry, safe or afraid. My feelings can help me to make good choices. Sometimes when we are feeling angry, it can be hard to remember the times where we did feel good or where we didn't feel afraid and we felt brave, especially when the feeling that's happening right now that's kind of the most important feeling to feel. So it can be hard to remember and then make a good choice before we do something that we might not be proud of. I can think about my words before I say them. I can choose what to do before I do it. I am in charge of my words and actions. They belong to me. So I think this is probably the most important page in the book. I can think about my words before I say them. I can choose what to do before I do it. So you are in charge of your own body always. No one else can say that they're in charge of your body because your body belongs to you. And your thoughts belong to you, and your words belong to you. So you are in charge of those things. So you get to make the decision about what you do or how you react to something. So like Barry, for instance, when his tower gets knocked down or whatever he's building gets destroyed, he's in charge of what he does. And so when he chooses, because no one else chooses for him, when he chooses to yell at Benny, that's his choice and no one else's. And so it might seem like the right choice at that time, but we talked about it last week that maybe it's not always the right choice. Maybe it does feel good to yell, but maybe we need to find a different way to express our anger. So that's what we're going to talk about today after we're done with this book. But very important, you are in charge of your body and your words belong to you. I can talk and listen. I can take turns and share. I can help to solve problems and work things out. I can do my part to get along. So this is kind of a clue about what we're going to be talking about after the story. Talking and listening, taking turns and sharing, talking about feelings. I know how I like to be treated. I like to be talked to and heard. I like smiles and hugs and friendly words. I like to be treated with kindness and respect. I can choose to treat others the way I like to be treated. So if you think about it, if you treat others and you're unkind to them and you're not respectful of them, then you might get those same feelings that you're putting out, those same actions that you're putting out, those might come back to you. So that's why it's important to take charge of what your actions are and what you choose to do. Because if you choose to put out kindness into the world, if you choose to treat others respectfully, I'm pretty sure you'll get that back. And that feels good. I know how I don't like to be treated. I don't like to be teased, called names, or yelled at. I don't like mean words. I think we can all agree with that. I don't like to be pushed, kicked, or bullied. I don't like to be hit. Hitting is never okay. And that's something that we learn when we're little. And that sometimes we're still learning. Hitting is never okay. It hurts someone else. These things can hurt my body and my feelings. Sometimes I feel afraid or I get angry. Sometimes I want to hurt someone back. But I can choose not to do that. So that's where it's really important to think before you act. So that's something that we said for a little bit before, or when we were back in school. You might want to hurt that person. I know that sometimes, when I was little, and even now as an adult too, sometimes I do feel like hurting others when they hurt me so bad. And it can be really hard to control that and to try and make a different choice, because hurting when you're hurt seems like it would make me feel better or make you feel better, and usually it doesn't. That's what we find out. When someone hurts me, I can talk about my feelings. I can walk away and play alone for a while. I can ask an adult for help. These are all good choices. So there we go. Those are 3 really good things that you can do whenever you feel angry or you feel like hurting someone, or even if you feel like hurting yourself, you can talk about your feelings. Find someone to talk to about them. Or if you don't want to talk to someone about them, you can find your favorite stuffy and talk to your stuffy about your feelings. They're not going to talk back to you, but it feels good to get those words out into the open. You can walk away and play alone for a while. Alone time is really good. It can be really, really good for you. This way you can just kind of cool down, be alone, not be around other people, and you can just take some alone time. That's really important. Sometimes we think that when Barry's put into timeout, that doesn't feel so good because that choice is being made for us. We're not making that choice. So, maybe that's something we can share with Barry after the book. And then the last one is ask an adult for help. So you can go to your mom and dad or whoever is an adult around you that you trust and that you care about and that that cares about you. You can go to an adult and ask them for help about how to work through these feelings, or why you might be feeling so angry, or just about what the problem was. You can solve the problem together. I can get along with many people who are like me and people who are not like me. I can learn new ideas and try new things. I can be a friend. So throughout your life, you're going to find a lot of people that have different views than you. So maybe they like to play a different way than you do, or they play a game that you also play, but maybe they play it differently. And so those are all things that you're going to encounter in your life, and that's okay. People are different. They like to play different ways. They like to say things differently. They may speak another language. They may eat certain foods that you don't, and that's what makes the world beautiful. You get to find out these really cool things about all these new people, and you're able to get along with them. And sometimes it can be hard to get along with people that are different from you, and that's okay too. We can find ways to get along. That's what this book is about. Friends are people you can count on. Friends are people who talk to you and listen when you talk. Friends are fun to play with and nice to be around. So friends are so important. It's so important to find people that you are able to talk to, and that friends that listen to you too, because we don't want to be friends with someone who never listens to us and who's always talking about them, but they don't want to listen to what we have to say. So it's important to find friends that are a good fit for you. And if they're not, then that's okay too. We make friends throughout our whole life. I have friends that I used to be really good friends with when I was little, and now, we're not really, friends anymore. And that happens sometimes. At school, in the neighborhood, and on the playground, we all have our own wants and needs. We have our own thoughts and feelings. No two people are the same. So you'll never find someone who's just like you. You might find someone who has the same interests like you do, who likes to play the same games that you do, but you don't look the same. You don't come from the same family. You might not even come from the same town. So no two people are the same. I don't think the world would be as interesting if we had lots of people who were all the same. Even though we are different, we can talk together. We can laugh, work, and play together. Or we can just be quiet together. We can get along.